That's not deodorant. So he doesn't wear deodorant.
He didn't wear deodorant yesterday on accident at all.
I've been trying to make deodorant a more regular thing, but it's tough.
Well, deodorant is important in the male manscaping world.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever.
I try to do that, but it's just, I'm always stinky. I don't know if it's from the amount of meat that we eat.
So tell me about the natural deodorant. Like, why, when, and
I
how?
wear natural deodorant.
Well,
You do.
I mean, yeah. I'm just curious.
Yeah. So my testosterone's already like super high. So if I have aluminum in me, it'll get lower. And I just don't want to be amongst the normals.
I feel like you're lying.
I'm
Okay.
My test is at a healthy level.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Good.
don't know, man. I'm like a hippie in some things, but then I'll like drink a Diet Coke. You know?
That's counterproductive.
Yeah, it's super counterproductive.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
At least you could admit it.
Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah.
80-20 rule. 80-20 rule.
80-20.
Yeah,
That's true.
80-20.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Counter Culture Pod. We're here with the man himself, Jason Ansley. What's up, dude?
Hi, guys. How are you? I'm good. Tired. It's Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Long weekend. We've been here since Sunday night. We got in about 11 and leave in the morning. But, man, what a great week.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm going to describe you besides he puts on, in my opinion, and I'm not saying this to blow smoke either because I've been to a few CrossFit events, but I also don't know much about CrossFit events. He puts on some really good comps. So Monster Games is the one that we are familiar with.
Yes.
And then now Legends.
Yes. Yep. I joined the Legends team unofficially in July. And then officially this September, we really kind of dialed it in. And I took over as the Director of Strategic Partnerships and Vendors.
Sweet, man. So with the Monster Games, let's start there.
Okay.
Well, actually, let's start with your gyms because you own gyms, right?
Well, so this is a great time to talk about that. 5 weeks ago, because of Legends, because of us getting the contract to be the CrossFit Games for the Masters.
How sick is that?
It's sick. So yeah, I had to kind of retire. So we've had a lot of life changes. We sold our gyms.
What?
Wow.
We did.
Wow.
I know. We haven't. Not a lot of people know that.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. But it was a tough decision. God's opened and closed doors for us all along. We assumed we were going to be in the gym world forever. And, life happens and opportunities knock sometimes only once. And this is one of those opportunities that when Bob and Joe called and said, hey, what would it look like to kind of collaborate and join forces with Legends, I was humbled and honored and knew that was going to take a little different path for us, not even thinking the opportunity to not be able to do the gyms. And then through that process, Dave Castro calls Bob and is like, what would you think about running the CrossFit Games for the Masters?
That's crazy.
And so, that snowball starts and those opportunities come. And we decided that the Masters community is important to us. Investing in the lives of these athletes is, we're all passionate about it. And I can't do both well. I can do both. I can't do both well. It's not fair to the members of our gyms. We at one time had 4 gyms. We had kind of made a couple of shifts, and I had 2 gyms that were not getting my full attention. And we just made a decision to let those go and to go full go into the competition.
Didn't you just build a gym too?
We did.
Yeah. That's wild.
We did. That's part of one of those things that happens where you kind of, my wife and I sit down and look at each other and we're like, why now?
Yeah.
And I don't know that we have the answer. We're not sure if we are where we're supposed to be, but we are where we're supposed to be right now. And that's how we've decided to look at it. And we've been embraced by Bob and Joe and their wives, and we've just meshed really, really well.
Yeah.
And this weekend, I think we've been affirmed that this is where we belong.
Dude, sometimes God
awesome.
just puts you in places and lets you connect with certain people that
Yeah.
guide you in the direction that maybe you didn't know was going to happen, but you're like, this feels right.
It does, and we are big believers in that. And we spent time on our knees asking, we built the gym for 7 years. Why is this being taken away from us? We're feeling like we're having to choose. And time and time again, when it would come time to make a decision, the affirmation was there and it felt right. And so this weekend is kind of a culmination of like that decision, that we did the right thing. Everyone is happy. We've been embraced by the community. We've got Monster Games coming up in July that we have kept. It's still a qualifier for here. The CrossFit Games are in August, and then we're back on this campus again in December, and it's a lot.
Yeah. So, okay, I guess it's not really relevant anymore since you sold the gym, but take me through kind of what it's like. Why did you start the Monster Games? What was the hustle like trying to run multiple gyms while also creating this thing that turned out to be a really big event?
Yeah, I mean, originally you start a competition because you're like, I need new Echo bikes.
Yeah.
And like, am I going to raise my members' rates, or can we put together a fun competition? I've competed ever since day one of CrossFit. I'm passionate about it. We're a very competitive gym. I have a lot of athletes that I've coached. I've taken multiple athletes to regionals, to now semifinals. I've been partners with people that have made it to the games. I have a huge passion for that. And so the idea of a competition and programming that originally was like, our gym needs some revenue to replace product. And the very first event was at our gym, and it was called the Midwest Monster, right? We went ahead and labeled a very specific, we put ourselves in this regional map. That was a huge mistake, but you don't know what you don't know. And so year one, we had it at our gym. It was teams of 4, and it went really well. Year 2, we moved it off-site, turned it into teams of 2, dropped Midwest off of the name. It became the Monster Games. Started working with Jacob Hepner. I'm good friends with him, and he's just been, he's been invaluable to us in the beginning of helping nurture and promote and, design workouts that are fun to watch and to do. And so the process of the games getting bigger every year was putting stress on my role, as at that time we had 3 gyms, went to 4 gyms, COVID hit.
Tell us a little bit about that story.
Yeah.
Because we went to dinner with you when we were
post
Right.
and you told us that wild story.
The story's pretty crazy.
It's crazy. We were on the campus of Missouri Southern State University. Everything was told that we were going to be fine. And then Missouri's a pretty open state, pretending like nothing happened type of a place, and which is great. But we are a state, we do have a state university, and they do have to abide by rules higher than them. 5 weeks before Monster Games in 2020, I get a call from the director at the facility saying, hey, we can't be on campus. There's no events on campus the rest of 2020, and like, where are you going to go 5 weeks out with, at that point, we had 240 athletes.
That's wild.
There's no facility that's going to take what was being deemed a super spreader at that time, right?
Yeah.
And we had a local church that had just built a new facility, and I got a call from the pastor that said, hey, we're outside the city limits. We feel like this is an opportunity to serve the community, and we know you have a passion for that. What would it look like to come and bring the competition to our church? And we'll just, hands off, let you guys go with it. And I was like, I don't think you understand what you're offering, because CrossFitters are walking disasters, right? Like, there is no people that go through more trash and go to the bathroom more times than CrossFitters. And so
it's gonna smell like dirt.
So we backed the games up to where they would end on Saturday afternoon at 5 o'clock, right? Everything's going to run perfect. We hired a crew to come in. They were going to turn the church, have it ready for church on Sunday. Very first time we ever put a swim event in local comps don't do swims. So I'm like, we're having a swim. We had it programmed. We were ready for it. Wake up Saturday morning, it's raining. It's lightning, it's thundering, a typical Midwest thunderstorm in the morning. I'm up against a tight clock. Like, we can't go past 5 or we're going to have people upset with us. So Stephen Tackett, my co-director at the time, was with me, and we're sitting on a chair like this in the church lobby watching it lightning and ping, and we're looking at each other like, we need to cancel the swim. And so we put a message out on Instagram that, guys, the swim's going to probably have to be canceled. We're going to make a call in an hour. flooded with people like, well, wait, I signed up for this competition because you guys are swimming.
Oh, man.
And so we said, okay, if this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. So we go ahead, have the swim, 3-hour delay, get in the pool, have our swim, have our run on the golf course. Now we're 3 hours behind, get back to the venue. We wind up not finishing the podium until 10 o'clock at night on Saturday. We were supposed to be done at 5, and the staff there was like, finish your competition, end well, treat the athletes well, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
And they turned the church. They worked overnight and had an 8 o'clock service on Sunday morning. So that's our COVID story. And that is really where I think we defined who we were and decided at that point, this is what we're supposed to be doing. People stayed and they embraced it. And from that point on, it just kind of took off.
What was getting that news like? Like, what were you feeling? How did you want to communicate to the athletes, like, hey, this might not actually happen anymore?
I never communicated that to them. Nobody ever knew.
Was it like going through your brain that you might have to do it?
Oh yeah. As a fairly new gym owner that had now owned multiple and generated revenue to help purchase equipment that we had already spent the money.
Yeah.
And you're like, this could end us. You're talking about filing an insurance claim to have to give everybody their money back, right? Because that's just who we are. We're not going to take money from people. And so, man, that was one of the scary points of our early career. My wife and I were just like, I am more of a it'll all work out type of a person, and she's more of a we probably need a plan. And I'm just like, it's going to be fine. Yeah. God didn't bring us here to close the door now, right? That type of a thing. And sure enough, that's when the phone rang, and we didn't have to have that conversation with the athletes, but we would have, and it would have been devastating. But you guys know this community. Yeah. I have to believe that on some level, the majority of the people said, like, keep our money, it's fine. But we didn't have to go down that road, but it was scary.
Heck yeah. You also told us that you guys were like sleeping on tables or something at the church, getting the place ready.
Yeah, that was, in the early days before you understand preparation and planning and load in and load out, you have all these great visions of how it's going to go. And then all of a sudden you're like, there's not enough hours in the day.
Shit's hitting the fan.
It's going down bad.
Yeah.
And so the people that we had helping us, our gym members, our very close friends, it was all hands on deck. We're going to get it done. If you can't stand up anymore, go lay down. Yeah. Like, I'll pick up the slack for you. And those are the types of things that made us make the decision to, when we're looking back, it's like, we want to be part of that for everybody else's story too. And the gym is hard because those people, you're invested in their lives and it's every day. And they know you, they have your phone number, they text you, and it's draining sometimes. And so this is very unique. Like, we haven't seen each other in 5 months, roughly. 5 months, and I see you standing at the booth. We hug each other, we're friends. And we get to do that same level of investment, but then we get to go home. Right? We get to go home and we get to prep and plan to make sure the next time you guys are at an event, you have the experience that you expect. But it's not that gym ownership is bad. This is fulfilling in a different way.
Yeah, I own a gym, and it's interesting because I think like owning a gym and then maybe owning like a CrossFit gym are two different things, right? So so like for me, I'm like I personally like the model that I have. I like now when I had two business partners before they skedaddled. I didn't like it at all, but I think it's part of what was missing was like community aspect of it instead of just like having a gym, so I get that for sure. One thing I do want to ask you though, what did you do before owning a gym?
Good question. I was director of sales and marketing for a publishing company for 18 years.
Wow.
So we were in the automotive and real estate business. I directed teams I had sales teams that lived in Minneapolis, Denver, Dallas, Kansas City, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Joplin, Jacksonville, Florida, Indianapolis, Indiana. And I oversaw the sales team there, and traveled to those markets and just did a market that, made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Had the big house, had the swimming pool,
Yep.
had the little kids at home where, our house was the house that all the friends came to. And I came home one day and I just told my wife, I can't do this anymore. Like I'm helping nobody. I'm doing nothing for anybody. We're only enriching ourselves, and we're selling a product that's doing nothing for anybody. And there's nothing wrong with it. But for me, I was just empty. I'd been doing it for a long time, and it just, I was unfulfilled. I had chased the corporate dream to go make a bunch of money, and I was unhappy. I wasn't super healthy physically, and she's like, that means we have to sell the house. And I'm like, I know. I'd kind of already thought about that, and I was waiting for her wife response to kick in, and it never happened. She was like, if that's what you have to do, then that's what we're going to do, and we're in. And so we made a decision that she's like, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to physically, I had already started CrossFit at that point. I was just like, I want to do what we experienced when we walked into the gym. Like, I want to provide that in our own way for other people. And she supported it. We put our house on the market. It sold in 6 weeks we're not talking about 18 months ago when you could literally sell anything to anybody. Like, this was a time where big houses didn't really move. We sold our house in 6 weeks, and kind of the rest is history. We moved into an apartment. 2 little girls, started homeschooling our youngest daughter, and lived in an apartment with a dog and 2 kids. And you come home from work and you look around and you're going, well, what did we do? How did this happen?
Yeah.
But God is faithful. Found a house. Opportunity came open for the gym. Got involved with the gym, and it just took off like wildfire. We went from 50 members to 220 members in 6 months.
Wow.
And I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
No one does.
It's like a common theme. Yeah, we're like, nobody knows.
No one
what
knows.
they're doing.
Yeah, I learned that too.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing either.
But it's crazy because what it sounds like to me, right, is your purpose at one point was, I want to make a lot of money.
Yep.
I want to, I want the white picket fence thing, and then eventually it's just kind of like a fleeting type of emotion, right? You're chasing something that's like tangible, you can touch it, but it has no it doesn't fill your soul.
That's exactly right. And it's just empty. And there's really no other way to describe it, because we were happy. Mm-hmm. I had 2 super healthy kids. They're involved in sports. They were good kids. My wife and I had a great relationship. We built the big house together. Like, we had what we wanted, but yet we didn't. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And you reach that point, and it's almost like, what's next? And there was no next.
Yeah.
So what's next for us was a little bit more of some soul searching to find out, what is our place? What are we supposed to be doing? Yeah. And I do believe that we're supposed to be giving back. And, to me, giving back physically is what was rewarding for me. You own a gym. Clearly, you don't own a gym to get rich. Like, everyone thinks like, oh man, you own 4 gyms. You guys are killing it. Like, yeah, we're killing each other.
Exactly.
But,
yes.
I would not give any of it back for anything. The experience was amazing. The people were amazing, and it led us right here.
How did you figure out that serving was where you wanted to be, like what you wanted to do?
I believe we're put here to help others and to serve others. And career-wise, for some reason, we take that out of our life. Like, we're supposed to do it in our daily life, but 8 hours of the day, we're just not supposed to do that. And it wasn't natural. And some people don't need that. Some people have other gifts. And my wife and I's gift is helping other people and investing personally in their lives. And so we can develop connections and relationships. And we did that through church activities and just through helping married couples through problems together. We kind of became sounding boards for people because we've been through our own problems ourselves. And so once you arrive on the other side of those, you're just like, I wish someone would have told me those things that we just went through to make it. I wish someone was there to share what that's like. And so that's kind of what we became. And so we grew from that, and that just, it paralleled with what CrossFit community is to us.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. So how do you go from So you get into this like world of fitness and stuff. Actually, let's go here. What did you do in between that time where you like quit the corporate thing and then the gym? Was there something in between there?
Yeah, so I resigned from my job, and I was literally the right-hand person for the company. Like, there was the owner and there was me. And when there was me, like, I did everything. And so when I went and talked to, and he was a friend, I talked to him, and he's older than I was, and I said, hey, shared with me basically what I just shared with you guys. He's like, I need a year. I need you to give me a year. And so, that's like going in and getting a year's severance, right? Okay. He was asking me for a year's severance. And my wife knew that I was going in to turn in my resignation, thinking I could likely get fired that day.
Yeah.
Because everything we had been through work-wise, like, I ran everything. And for me to walk out and tell him I'm unfulfilled that's a hard conversation to have with a boss, right?
And look at you crazy.
Right, and he did look at me crazy. But instead of looking at me crazy and firing me, his response to me was like, give me a year and I'll let you walk. But I'll pay you what I'm paying you now. Put your life into motion as to where you need it to go, but give me what you have for a year.
That's cool.
I mean, it was amazing. Again, it's a God thing. God, that's another sign that, like, now we're knocking at the door, and it's not the door being slammed on our face, it's the door being opened. So we have to, are we going to walk through this door? So when I go home, my wife is sitting, I'll never forget it. I didn't text her or call her. I was scared to death to tell her I got asked to stay another year. And get out of the car, walk up. She's sitting on the front porch. She has a beer out. We're ready to sit down and have a beer together. Yeah. And she walks up, or I walk up. She hands me a beer, and she's like, how'd it go? And I was like, I agreed to another year. And she was like, no, you did not. And I was like, hey, the good news is, like, we don't have to sell everything that we own because we have some transition time. So within that year, we started the process of doing that and preparing to get to that point. And downsizing our life, downsizing our world, and getting involved. Of course, at that point, our current gym understands what we're doing. And I had to go to the gym owner as a person that feels you need to be transparent. And I told him I'm wanting to start my own thing. And he asked us to leave immediately. So we were without a gym home almost immediately. And, as a gym owner, if I have somebody that's a part of my gym that is as good as what they do as I think I am, I understand his concern. Like, if they're here in the gym, they're already a big part of our community. They're going to, and it's not like I was moving. I was opening a gym in the same town, and we're not in Tempe, Arizona, right?
Right.
We're in Joplin, Missouri, that only had 2 gyms at the time, so I was gym number 3. So part of that, looking back, I understand. At the time, we were just like, wow, that stings really bad.
Yeah.
Heidi, my wife, was hurt. She had a community there that was, I was in the gym meeting with him and went home and was like, hey, by the way, you can't go to class tonight. And so, wild. So we lived through that. And again, it's resiliency. It's handling the adversity that you're not expecting, but that is what it is. So the gym that we were in the process of, we had no agreements to buy a gym or anything, but the gym that we had just started nibbling on, we just started going there. And that kind of sped things up a little bit at that point.
Yeah.
So we agreed to the purchase, bought them on February 1st of 2017, moved into a new facility for us at that time on Friday Night Lights of February 20th, which was my wife's birthday, and had a big grand opening that night. We had 400 people at our grand opening.
Holy
and this is a gym of
400,
counting coaches and owners, 53 people. And so from the time we bought the gym and announced that we bought the gym on February 1st to moving into a new facility and announcing a grand opening, we had 400 people show up on Friday Night Lights with news crews, and we signed up almost 60 people the first night.
That's crazy.
For the gym.
Wow.
People like you.
And I hope so. I hope that's why we got invited to be part of this team.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. And again, I had never coached a CrossFit. I was a level 1 coach. I coached individual athletes. I had never coached a group class.
Wow.
So I show up on day 1 at 5 o'clock in the morning to coach my very first class as an owner.
That's crazy.
It was crazy.
Cool.
Like, what was I doing? I had
Yeah.
no business teaching anybody anything. I mean, I did. I know what I was doing, but group class is different. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
wild.
So
It was wild.
2017.
Yeah.
So there, that's a lot of motion to 2023.
It's a lot.
Opening your first affiliate to now you're part of the CrossFit Games.
Right. I took a picture. The guys grabbed me and we took a picture with Heather, the director of sports operations for CrossFit, and Boz and Dave Castro yesterday went on the floor, and I just look back at that picture and I was just like, man, like this hasn't been that long. It just
Yeah.
has not been that long. Where February 1st of 2024 would have been 7 years. So in 7 years, we went from never coaching a group class to standing with Dave Castro and dreaming about this coming August where we're going to host the CrossFit Games and what that's going to look like.
That's amazing. So what goes into building the brand? Like, because obviously this is all possible, like the Monster Games.
Right.
Got you the attention.
It is.
So you have the background in marketing.
Yep.
What goes into like building that brand to where you think it got you to the point where somebody's like, hey, this Jason Ansley guy, let's bring him into the biggest thing, the Olympics of the CrossFit.
Right. I believe that, like, my motto for the CrossFit Games has always been athlete first. If I can we market ourselves as we're the year-end competition for those that don't make the CrossFit Games.
Okay.
And I don't mean this in a negative way, but I don't want CrossFit Games athletes at my competition. It's not who we are. The CrossFit Games are for that, right?
Who do you
So
want?
I want the semifinal athlete to compete for elite spots, and I hope that they make the games and I get to refund them their money. And I'm going to honor that, and I'm going to cheer them on at the CrossFit Games because they can't compete at my competition because I'm so close to the games. That's what I want. And I want to backfill their spot with somebody who's trying to get where they're going.
Sure.
That's who we are.
Yeah.
So our elite division is geared for just that person. And then, my goal is, like, from the moment you step foot on the campus of Missouri Southern to come in for check-in, like, you're known. I try to know who everybody is.
You do a good job at that.
And I try to greet them at the door, and I want to make sure that the experience that they have over the next 3 days is the best experience they can have outside of the CrossFit Games.
That's awesome.
I remember the first year I competed so not this last year, the one before that. Before, like, me and Rachel met there, and that's like how we became friends and stuff. But we were so tired, and it was running late, and he asked you if we had to stay for the briefing. You just gave me my own briefing. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
I was like, thank you.
Yeah, like I get it. I am an athlete. I've competed for years, and when things come, like, I am athlete first. Like, I feel like if we are there to serve the athlete, if you're going to come to Joplin, Missouri in July, that doesn't have any way to, you can't get to us without, it's expensive to spend the weekend with it, then I owe every single person my time, my talent, and my treasures. That's what I owe you guys.
Yeah.
And if I can do that and enjoy it, which I do, then it all takes care, the rest of it takes care of itself.
Yeah.
It really does.
You can tell too when you're putting on the event that you actually genuinely give a shit.
I love it. I mean, I love it. Like I said, running a gym can sometimes be life-sucking. This is the complete opposite because the week of is bad. Like, I'm trashed, just wrecked. But the moment the athletes walk in on check-in on Thursday, it is life-giving to me. I see the excitement, the nervousness. They're just like, hey, like, I can't walk 15 feet on my hands, but that's the standard. And I'm like, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, do you want me to come watch you walk on your hands? I'll give you a tip on how to do it. Somebody taught me how to do it. Right. And I have taught people to walk on their hands after athlete check-in before, like, that are scared to death.
Cool.
Yeah, and so I have taken athletes here. There's a lady yesterday, never walked on her hands before. She's scared to death. And I just watched her, and it's just like, hey, like, you're, like, doing this completely wrong. Why don't you try this? And it's like, whether you succeed at it or not is irrelevant. I want to help, and I want to make you have the best experience that you can, and that's just our goal.
That's great. So how do you get it? How do you get the branding so big that somebody does like come in and be like, hey, do you? Because they asked you to be part of Legends, right?
They did. Yeah.
So what do you think it took? I mean, obviously a lot of grinding, grit, you know, ability to go through adversity.
Yeah.
COVID year. What do you think was the biggest piece of the puzzle?
Honestly, I think it's not me. I couldn't have done it without some partners that owned it with me, and Jacob Hettner is one of those guys that I to this day, we joke about it because we're pretty close now. It's just like, why did you agree when I called you and got a hold of you to be a part of this? And he's like, I have no idea. Like, I don't do that. I have no idea. And so that was step number one. Was at that time he was a current active games athlete, and he's like, yeah, you're from Missouri and you like guns and I like guns, and it just made sense, right? And it's just like, well, you didn't know that when you were talking to me. So that was a huge step for me, that someone in his position was willing to say, I'm going to put my name on your competition, even though I don't know you, and we're going to promote it, we're going to grow it together. Yeah. So I'm humbled by that. Don't know what I said or did that make him felt like it was okay to attach himself to me. If you know him, he doesn't do that with any other competitions. And then the second piece was First Form. I did not leave them alone. Like,
just bothered Andy.
Yeah,
put me on your podcast.
I didn't go that high because I knew where that would go, but I knew enough that I competed at enough competitions. HOA that Jeremy Meyer runs in Springfield, that's when I competed at for 8 years in a row. The First Form was always there. They're the title sponsor. I talked to a few guys there. Nobody could ever really tell me exactly how they got there or why. But the reality is Jeremy Meyer was one of the original first CrossFit athletes that First Form ever had. He has a locker in the locker room at First Form with his name on it, right? So I just found the right guy, and I told him, I'm like, you're going to be my title sponsor. And he's just like, we don't do title sponsors with anybody. He's like, HOA is the only title sponsor we've ever done, and that's because of who Jeremy and Sal are really good friends. And he's like, that's because of Jeremy and Sal's relationship. We don't do title sponsors. Like, you're going to be my title sponsor. And I shared a little bit of my vision as to what I wanted to do. And he's like, hey, that's great, man. Good luck. I hope everything goes well. And so I lied to him and said, I don't know, a month or two later, I found his cell phone number from other people, and I texted him and I said, hey, I'm in town. I only live in Joplin. I'm in town on some other business. I've got some free time this afternoon. I'd just like to see the facility and kind of pitch an idea to you. Yeah. It's like, I'll take 10 minutes of your time. At that point, I think I must have wore him down, because he's like, come by at 2 o'clock today or whatever, right? And so I'm like, okay, I wasn't in town. So I had to get to St. Louis, right? Nice. And so I was just like, I don't know what I would have done if he said be there at 10.
Yeah.
But he said be there at 2. I got in my car. I drove to St. Louis. I walked in. They treated me like they knew who I was. They walked me around. They gave me a tour. They acted like I was somebody, and I knew at that moment I had made the right decision, that these were going to be, I'm going to hitch my saddle to who they are, what they stand for, and they don't take shit from anybody, right? And that's kind of my philosophy. So I wasn't letting anybody tell me no. Yeah. So I got him in a room at a conference table, and I had everything ready to go, and I told my story. I didn't give him a sales pitch. I just said, look, man, I can't do this without you. Like, I am not a big enough voice in this community to make this what I want it to be without you guys. So without you, I might as well shut it down, because you are who I need to be with, and I am who you guys are wanting to get bigger into the CrossFit space. Is like, we can build this together. And right then, I don't know if he had the authority to or not, but he said, we're in.
You gave him the full sales pitch.
I gave him the full sales pitch, non-sales pitch. And from that point on, we kind of grew. They invited me up a couple times. I got to know a whole lot more people in the organization, and we delivered what we said we would do. And we've continued to do that. That's why First Form is here with Legends today. Because as soon as I found out my role with Legends, they were the first people I called. It was like, hey, this is what we're doing. This was before the CrossFit Games was announced. They didn't know that we were going to be part of the I didn't know that I just knew that I wanted to make Legends something unique, and we needed them to come into the Masters world as well. And so went back up there, pitched the whole Legends thing, and they were all in as well. And then the CrossFit thing gets announced, and I kind of look like a hero. It was all an accident.
That's amazing.
So it was not of my doing.
We'll clip it just so you sound like a hero.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Well, hey, we appreciate you spending this time with us right now while you're putting on this big event. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, and we should definitely run another one back so we can talk more about
Love it.
when you do the CrossFit Games thing. So I'm gonna let you ask the last few questions.
So we always ask everybody who comes on 3 questions.
Okay. I hate
and-
these, by the way.
They're brain teasers.
I know. I'm going to come across stupid.
No, you won't. So the main question is, what is your biggest goal in the next year?
Okay. That's a great question. My biggest goal in the next year is to continue to have the impact that I thought I would have the day Bob and Joe called me and said, are you interested in partnering with us? And once that came out of their mouth, I knew that we were going to change the landscape of how Masters were viewed. I just knew it, and I knew that what they had started, the 3 of us could complete. And so that's my goal, is to complete that transaction that I promised them last January.
What? And then the 2 follow-up questions for that goal are, what are you willing to sacrifice to reach that goal?
I won't sacrifice anything. I don't have to. I will not stand up against anything that I believe in, stand for, or my values. But what I will sacrifice is my personal time, talent, and treasures. I'll give, but that's it.
Nice.
You answered the second one, which is what won't you sacrifice? So perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. There's a few things in life that come along, and no matter how great they are, they're not worth giving up who you are. And so I guess the real answer to that question is I'm not going to stop being who I am.
Yeah.
And I won't concede on that.
Yeah. I want to ask you one last question, actually. So you were in Legends before the CrossFit thing was announced?
Yeah.
Okay. So
2 weeks before we had agreed to terms.
So you get in, you agree to the terms, and then suddenly you get the CrossFit thing, and you're like, I fucking made it. That's it.
Yeah. Well, there's this strange dynamic of it's still not mine, right? Me and Bob and Joe, I flew out to San Diego. They live in San Diego. I live in Missouri. It's not super convenient. But again, it made sense. My youngest daughter is a senior in high school. It comes at a great time for us because we're getting ready to be empty nesters. We have the ability to put in more work than maybe we would have 2 years ago, right? And so, sitting down with them, I don't want to step on their toes. I don't want to speak my insight until I'm asked, because we're still learning each other, and I can 100% disagree with something that they programmed or did, but it's not mine. It's not my place to say it. And if they're going to trust me with companies like Paper Street to make sure that when they come here over the weekend they're taken care of, then I have to trust them that they're going to take care of the athlete side of things, and it's going to work out. So I don't own it yet. So there's just that strange in between feeling of when I get, how much insight do I give and how much do I hold back? And luckily I'm 50 years old and I'm not 25.
Yeah.
Because if I was 25, I would have probably already pissed them off.
Yeah.
But I'm 50 and I've learned how to hold my tongue and to be patient and to watch and to observe and to learn. And this has been huge learning for me this weekend.
Yeah. So you're trying to earn your stripes.
I've got to earn it, man.
Yeah.
I don't belong here until I've earned my way here.
I love that. That's a great spot to end it. So, Jason, thanks so much for your time, man.
Thanks, guys.
Really appreciate
Love
it.
it.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, do all that. Follow us on Instagram. Plug anything that you want to plug right now.
Monster Games qualifier is live. So we're on Competition Corner. We are at the Monster Games comp on Instagram. Qualifier is February 2nd through the 12th. Everybody's got to qualify. 0 spots given. Every invite is a conquered task.
Oh, yeah. Awesome, dude. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
I'm already registered. I registered on